this is Chris. Today I'm going to show you a time-lapse watercolor based on this photograph posted by my cousins. They have a family art challenge that they put out quarterly, and they send out a photo, and we all paint it and then send it back in, and they post it on Facebook and stuff, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to start with my watercolor palette. These are Winsor Newton colors, starting at the 1 o'clock position. I have alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, burnt umber, olive green, ultramarine. Then on the lower left I have cerulean blue, sap green, lemon yellow, and cadmium red. So I'm going to set up my watercolor station. I have paper towel. This is a piece of sheet bedding. You can also use something like a piddle pad for a puppy. It's very absorbent and it pulls the water, excess water out of your brush very easily. And now I'm picking some brushes here. I have several different varieties of brushes. Some salt that I might use for special effects. That's just table salt. You can use any kind of salt. There's a little bit of a sea sponge, and here's the reference photo up on the upper left. And I'm starting with my my latest watercolor journal that I just finished making. This is for 2020, and this will be the first painting that I've done in it. I wanted to start in January, but took me a while to get around to doing things. So here I'm doing a pencil drawing. It will be hard for you to see. And I'm just sketching it out lightly first. I'm using a little bit of felt to protect the page from my bracelets because silver can sometimes leave black marks on paper. Difficult on the reference photo to see what exactly this old farm implement was used for. It has some braces that go out from the hitch to the wheel hubs, and then there's some wooden structure in between the wheels, but it's hard to tell what they are, so I just have to make things up. So now I'm getting ready to paint and bringing in my little folding water cup, my palette, my blotting papers, and my brushes. I have a little water with bottle with water that I spritz on there. The thing I like about watercolors is they're always resoluble. You never have to throw any of them away because they got hard. Don't throw your old tubes away. Break them open and pull the pieces out, and you can always add water to it. So I always start with yellow if I have yellow in my painting. It's the hardest color to paint over another color, so I always start, if there's any yellow, with that. So I'm painting in the poppies with the cad yellow, which is a nice bright yellow. A little bit of cad red. I'm adding a little bit of blue. This field reminds me of fields that I've seen in Texas with bluebonnets, so I thought I'd put a little bit of Texas in there for my Texas family, along with the California poppies for my California family, and then the pictures in Arizona for my Arizona family. I use cerulean blue to lay in a wash for the sky. And the paper's starting to curl. This is a sort of a mixed media paper for drawing or painting, and as long as your paints aren't too wet, it's fine, but if you get kind of wet, it will curl. I'm trading out my large banker's clip for a smaller one. And now I'm mixing olive green and ultramarine to do the foreground trees. I mix in other colors as I go, give it some variety. Then I'm going to add in some cerulean blue for the more distant trees as they fade into the background. I add the same colors into the field to fill that in. And I do the negative space between the farm implement, leaving those areas white. I use the end of my brush to pull the paint up into grassy spikes. It adds a nice little detail. And I clean my palette in preparation for doing the wood. I use burnt umber and ultramarine to make a nice aged brownie color. I put a little bit of salt on the metal part of the hitch and let that sit, and that will cause the paint to gather and make an interesting pattern. Although this painting is so small, it won't be a whole lot noticeable. I'm painting in the darkest part of the metal workings behind the wheels. Now I'm using a little burnt sienna, burnt umber, and ultramarine blue to get the rusty sort of metal look that I want. Here's where I use a sea sponge. I wet it, and then I mix up some color and dip it in to do the foreground tree. It makes little irregular leafy shapes. The sea sponge is fun to work with. I continue working on the darks and the details in the foreground, and just layer upon layer, which is called glazing. Put a wet layer on top of a dry layer for the detail, and I'll continue doing that. Here's the finished painting. It's about 8 inches wide by 6 inches tall. And here is the reference photo. So you can see that I didn't follow it exactly. I used my own creative liberty to make it horizontal instead of vertical, and then I added the stump so the hitch would have something to sit on, and I added the lupins, and I took a photograph and made my own image out of it. So I hope you enjoyed this and that you can do some watercolors in a watercolor journal. It's a great pastime. You can use photos that you've taken on trips and have fun with it. So thanks for watching, and come back again and have a great day. So go out and create something. Take care.